Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Sara and I'm a vegan food blogger, cake decorator, recipe developer and food columnist. And in this demo, I'm going to be showing you how to make a semi-naked chocolate cake with some simple flower decorations. So let's get started. Alright, so last night I actually made some chocolate cake and I made 3 layers and they're about an inch thick. And all I'm going to do is pop one of the layers onto my cake board that I've already got on my turntable. Actually, I just need to put a little bit of buttercream there first. So I've made some simple pink vegan American buttercream. And I'm just going to pop the cake in the center. Now you want to make sure all your layers are really nice and flat and level. Now these layers actually came out quite perfect and flat, but if you do have a dome on the top, make sure that you cut it off with a knife and just make sure it's really nice and even. Now you can put a sugar syrup in between your layers if your cake isn't very moist. This is my chocolate cake recipe and it's actually very moist, so I don't need to put any sugar syrup on there. So what I'm going to do now is grab my buttercream and I'm going to create a dam about 1 centimeter high, just around the edge of my cake. And I'm just going to fill it in almost the whole way. And leave a little bit of a hole in the middle because I want to put some fudge syrup, some chocolate fudge sauce in the middle, which I've already made. And this is just like a simple ganache that you can find on my website, and that just goes into the middle. So when you cut open the cake, you'll have this lovely gooey chocolatey sauce that comes through in the middle. Now grab your next layer, make sure it's nice and level and flat. I'm just going to squeeze that top down a little bit, and then I'm just going to put that one on top. I just want to make sure it's nice and level. Now I've actually got a leveler somewhere here. These are great. It's really important that your cakes are really level. It's looking pretty good, and just push that down a little bit. It just makes sure that your cakes look nice and straight when you ice them as well. And you can also find this chocolate cake recipe on my website as well. It's a really easy one. Now I'm just going to grab my buttercream again and start on the outside and just pipe it about an centimeter thick, and then just work my way around the middle, and then I'm just going to grab my sauce. Oh, look how lovely and chocolatey this is. Fill in that little hole. And I'm going to grab my top layer and just pop that on top. And I'll just check that's nice and level. It's looking really good. And you just want to check that your cake is nice and straight around each side. And I'm actually just going to grab a skewer. Sometimes, depending on how much filling you put in it, your cake can slide. And if you're traveling with your cake, it's always good just to pop a little skewer in the middle, just to hold your cake together. Now, if you do that, make sure you tell the person you're giving the cake to, if you're giving it to someone, that it's in there, that they don't smash their face into their cake, because accidents do happen. Okay, how easy was that? Now, I'm just going to grab my buttercream again, and we're going to do the top. And I'm just going to evenly Now make sure you go all the way to the corners as well, because they are always the trickiest part. I'm just getting chocolate on everything. Now I just need to put some more buttercream into my piping bag. But the first thing I'm going to do is I just want to level off. Whoops. The top. I've just got a little container here with some hot water, and my little spatula, offset spatula, and I'm just going to level this out so it's really nice and flat. And I'm just tilting my wrist. As you can see, having a turntable makes this a lot easier. And the great thing with like that naked cake style is it doesn't have to be perfect. It can actually be a little bit rustic. Just gonna smooth. Okay, now I need to add some more buttercream to my piping bag. And I really like making these semi-naked cakes because they're actually really easy to do and you can do them quite quickly once you get your technique down. And there's so many various ways you can decorate them as well. I mean, you can just leave them as they are, you can add a drip, you can add flowers, you can add sprinkles, and because they've got that rustic type style, they don't really have to be perfect. And I really like doing a dark cake with a light icing because then you get those, you can see the dark layers through the icing, and I think that looks really, really pretty and just enhances the effect. Okay. Now what essentially we're going to do, I'm just going to fill in the holes here. Oh, there's air in my piping bag. Where the layers are first. And then I'm just going to do a light, oh that cake's coming out. Starting at the bottom, just do a really light layer of buttercream. You're actually going to scrape a lot of this off and push it into the cake. And this is essentially you're kind of creating a crumb coat effect as well. Okay, just need to wash my hands. Now, I'm gonna grab my cake scraper. I've got two because sometimes the cake's higher than what I think it's gonna be. And I like to wet it and keep it nice and hot. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to place my hand at the front and I'm essentially just going to pull it all the way around and push that icing into the cake. Okay. And to prevent like buttercream sticking to your scraper, I always just keep cleaning it between each scrape. It is a little bit labor intensive, but you just get a better result. And just keep scraping that around. Now it's really up to you how much you want the cake to be visible. I mean, I could keep scraping. What I really want to do is just smooth it all out so the icing's really even before I decide how naked I want the cake to look. So I'm just going to go around again. And I just need to boil some hot water, so I'm going to do that. I find if your buttercream is kind of looking a little bit lumpy or there are bits of holes coming through, you just need to heat your tools up. And essentially it'll just melt the buttercream really nice and smooth. And just keep your tools really nice and clean. Okay, so I just want to fill in some holes. As you can see, it's already starting to come together. It's pretty quick. So I've got my buttercream, and I'm just going to fill in a few little holes that are coming up. That's looking good. And I just want to pour some hot water over my tools. I just want to heat them up a little bit. Keep that water fresh. It does get a little bit messy. Okay, it's really hot. Okay, so just the same again. I'm pushing that icing into the cake and smoothing it out at the same time. And my tool is really nice and hot, so it's going to kind of melt it. As you can see, it's starting to get really nice and smooth. And I might just do one more just to smooth out some of those holes. That's looking pretty good. Just see, I'm just pushing the icing in and moving it slowly around the cake so it gets really nice and smooth. So about now is like when you can start working out how naked you want the cake, and I'm actually pretty happy with that. I'm just going to do one more just to smooth out some of those holes. And my tool is pretty wet actually, just to help smooth out the icing. Look, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's kind of cute. And like I could spend another hour making it absolutely perfect, but honestly, you don't have to. And see how the chocolate just comes through the pink? It's just really quite pretty. Now, if I was going to coat it completely in buttercream, this would actually be my what's called a crumb coat, and I would put this in the fridge and allow it to set before I put another layer on top. Let's actually smooth out that top, and I'm just going to give it a quick wipe down. Grab a couple of napkins. So just a little bit of water that's come off the cake from my... I am pretty messy. I try to be a little bit cleaner and neater, but it doesn't really always work out that way, as you can see. Okay. Put that in the bin. Now I don't have the right tool for this. I spent so much time prepping for this, I forgot my little tiny spatula. I'm going to try and use my big one. See how I go. Just going to smooth in those corners. I do need my little one. I have two kitchens and it's up in the other kitchen. Now, if I had a lot of time, what I would actually do is just pop this in the fridge for about 15 to 20 minutes, and it actually hardens the buttercream, and you can kind of slice it off, and it gives you those really sharp edges. But I don't want to make you wait 15 minutes while I do this. Now, if you go to my website, you'll obviously find recipes for buttercream, the ganache, the chocolate cake. And I've also got a new show out called Vegan Around the World, where I'm veganizing cakes from across the globe. I'm even doing an episode on the Battenberg cake, so make sure you check it out. My website is sarakid.com, SARAKIDD. Okay. Now, I would use a smaller spatula, but I don't want to go get it because then you'd be sitting here staring at nothing. What I'm going to do is just run this around the top with my wrist slightly tilted and just create that flat top again. And then I'm going to grab my cake scraper and gently just run it around the top. Like so. That's in the back here. Oh, so silly, I did not bring it. Okay, let's try again. And then I'm just going to gently pull this in. And every time you do this, it gets smoother and smoother and smoother. And honestly, it's up to you how many times you do it. And if you really want to be a pro, each time you put it in the fridge and you let it set and then you do it again, and that will give you that absolute perfect corners. But like I pretty much managed to do it with the wrong tools and not putting it in the fridge, so I think I'm doing okay. And I'm just running this, so you just repeat this process a few times until you're happy with the result. How are we looking? We're looking really good. I might just run this around so it's nice and smooth. Perfect, that's looking really nice. I might just try and flatten it out a little bit more. It's not as perfect as I would like it, but I don't want to make you wait while I put it in the fridge for 20 minutes, but you're just pulling the cream back onto the cake and I would usually have my cake up a bit higher as well. Makes it a bit easier to see. I might try that. Look, I think it's pretty good. I would spend a lot longer making it absolutely perfect. But I just want to show you the technique of how easy it is to create this. I might just smooth it out once more and then we can give it a good wipe down because there's a little bit of water on the cake board. Oh, that looks great. See how the chocolate cake's coming through? And it just creates such a pretty contrast with the pink. All right. Just wipe this down. Number one rule I always say is just keep your tools really hot and really clean, and then it'll just give you the best result. And as you can see, that took me about 10 minutes. Once you get your technique down, it's really easy. Okay, so I have some flowers here, and I've just got some simple roses that I've already washed. I do recommend if you're just putting flowers directly onto your cake, make sure you're using organic flowers that are pesticide free. Otherwise, what you can do is you can cut a small piece of baking paper out and place it where you think the flowers are going to be, and then cover it in buttercream, and then you can pop your flowers into that buttercream. That just keeps any of the pesticides off the flowers. So what I've got here is just some really simple a drip ganache, but it's been sitting here, so I just need to pop it in the microwave for about 10 seconds because I want it to be quite runny. And I'm going to try and create a perfect drip this time. I actually like that it's a fudgy cake with a fudgy oozy center, so the drip's probably going to run all the way down the cake, but I'll just pop this in the microwave for 10 seconds. Sorry about that, bit of a malfunction. And okay, there we go, this is really good. So I have a couple of recipes for drip. This one's just a ganache drip, which is simply coconut cream mixed with some vegan dark chocolate. And it looks gorgeous. Now I'm going to show you a quick trick on how to test if your drip is ready. This is my new kitchen, by the way. I've literally been using it for about a few weeks, so I'm kind of getting used to where everything is. So to test your drip, what you want to do is grab a cup. If you're trying to create that perfect drip down the side of your cake, grab a glass cup. And I like to do it with a spoon. People do drips all different ways. And you can just simply pour it down the side of your cup. I hope you can see that. And see, that drips great. It's not too runny, it's not too thick, and it's dripping really nicely. And that's how you can test if your drip is ready. So I'm just gonna pick the front of the cake, and I really love this contrasty part. So that's gonna be my front of the cake. And then I want the drip to come down the side. So I'm actually gonna turn it so I can see. Down one side, down the left side. So I've got my drip. It's still pretty hot. Hope it doesn't melt the cake. I might just let that sit just for a second, just to cool down a bit, because I don't want it to melt the buttercream. Just pop that there. I'm gonna get my roses ready. So what I've done, I've had them in some water after I've washed them. I washed them last night, and I've trimmed them, and I've actually pulled a lot of the flowers, the leaves off the flowers, because they're starting to get a bit old. But I really like just having like a little bunch of flowers on the side. So I'm just going to do the drip down the side and then arrange the flowers in a little circle. You can do it any way you want though. You can arrange them around the top. You can use all different types of flowers. Just make sure that they're not poisonous. I've made that mistake before with frangipanis. I did a beautiful frangipani cake where the cake was yellow with a white drip and had all these gorgeous frangipanis on the top, and frangipanis are actually poisonous. All right, this has had a second to cool down. Okay, so that's my front. Okay, so with my drip, I'm just going to gently pour it down the side and just help it drip by gently pushing it over. It's up to you how many drips you do. The great thing with these rustic cakes is you can just get away with so many things if it's not perfect. Look, it gets eaten in like 5 minutes anyway, so. Oh, and that's looking really great. I'll just do one more. And I'm just going to show you how that drip came out. See, isn't that beautiful? Really simple, easy ganache drip. Now you can do a drip around your entire cake, or you can just do down one side. I kind of just want to do down one side just to highlight the flowers. So now I'm going to put the flowers on. See how beautiful that drip was, just perfect. So simple, so easy, once you get the hang of it. All right, so let's grab our flowers. And I'm going to do this quite quickly, so it might not be perfect, but let's see how we go. I'm just going to trim these right down. And I love that how this is actually the same color as the icing. And I'm just going to gently arrange the roses on top of the cake. Now, I would probably spend a lot more time thinking and planning, but I just want to show you how easy it is to do this. I've got some little darker pink roses. That I'm just going to push in. I really love working with flowers too. I wanted to be a florist for a little while, so I love how flowers come together, and there's so many different options. Well, I think that's kind of cute the way it is. Let's see if I need one more in the middle there. I kind of like to try and fill up all the holes any way I can. See how that's all that rose has gone into the chocolate a little bit. But that's okay. She might just make that one a little bit. And just be a bit careful. Because my buttercream hasn't set, it's kind of coming off a little bit. So before you put your flowers into your cake, just want to pop it in the fridge for like 10 minutes. And then I've just got some tiny little pink flowers that I'm going to pop into the holes. I'll try and do it this way so you can see a little bit better. Yeah, see how my buttercream's just slightly melting a little bit. So before you do your flowers, you want to pop it into the fridge for about 15 minutes just to set your buttercream. But I didn't want to make you wait. And then I've just got these little cute little pink flowers and I'm just filling up all the holes. So I think the trick with flowers and doing a little arrangement is just to make sure it's nice and full. But there's so many things you can do. I mean, it's really up to you. Just have fun with it. I think that's kind of really cute. And I love working with pink. I think pink with baking goods just, I don't know. If you check out some of my food photography, this last 12 months, I've really been photographing on pink backgrounds, using pink utensils and stuff like that. I really love it. Okay, it's not absolutely perfect because I don't want to spend hours doing it. But as you can see, it's really pretty. And a really easy thing to do. Now, if I had more time, I would actually arrange these so that they're more even and round, kind of like this. Look, you can spend so long doing it. It's really fun and it's really up to you. Actually, these little pink flowers are just from the back here, so I might just cut a few more. So make sure you go check out my website because you're going to find all the recipes there for this. I should have washed these, but I'm cheating a little bit. I'm sure you'll forgive me. I just want to fill it in a little bit more so it's I'm cheating and I'm rushing, which means that I'm going to make mistakes. I'm nearly done. I just need one more little pink. Oh, that's looking really pretty. I find adding having a color palette of all different pinks is really pretty, and then contrasting it with a dark color like the chocolate. Look, as you can see, see how I've just kind of filled the cake up on the top, so it's actually kind of really nice and round, and it looks like a boutique of flowers. Now the other thing you can do, I've got a couple left. You can add one on the side. Like so, just push it into the cake. And then, I can't see what I'm doing, so you have to tell me if this looks any good. And then I've got some, now you can add some greenery, which it actually makes the cake, the flowers pop a little bit, just breaks up that pink a little. I can't see what this looks like from the front. Let me just turn it around. And I'd probably just put a little leaf here, and then one up there. Whoops, my buttercream's very soft. Like, you can spend hours arranging it, but I just wanted to quickly show you. When you put a bit of green in it against the pink, it just makes it pop a little bit more. Let's have a look. A little green, pink one there. Okay, I think, how does that look? It's not perfect, it's a little bit messy. But that just shows you what you can do, like the possibilities. And I'll probably spend a little bit more time here and just make sure that's really nice and balanced. But can you see the green? It just makes it pop a little bit. The roses are really easy just to arrange. The drip just accentuates, like it makes the eye come up the cake and look at the roses. And then you've got that beautiful dark contrast of the semi-naked chocolate cake coming through. And when you cut into it, you're gonna get that gorgeous gooey layer of that chocolate fudge sauce. And that's my cake. So make sure you go check out the recipes at sarakid.com and get in contact if you have any questions. And hopefully I'll see you again next year. Bye.